associated with the harnessing with the solar energy, right? Today we shall discuss about the extraterrestrial irradiation. Here in that first point is solar constant. Solar constant, it is a measure of flux density and is the amount of incoming solar electromagnetic radiation per unit area that would be incident on a plane perpendicular to the rays at a distance of 1, that is and it includes all types of solar radiation, not just the visible light. Okay, what is solar constant? The solar energy reaching the periphery of the Earth atmosphere is considered to be a solar constant. What about for all practical purpose, and it is known as a solar constant. Solar energy reaching the periphery of the Earth atmosphere is considered to be a constant for all practical purposes and is known as a solar constant. What about the solar constant value? It may be estimated on the basis of solar radiation received on a unit area exposed perpendicular to the rays of the sun at an average distance between the sun and the earth. Its average value approximately 1366 watt per meter square, and it may vary slightly with the solar activity, but recent calibrations of the relevant satellite observations indicate value closer to 1361 watt per meter square is more realistic. That is, they have approximated, and after using a recent experiments or recent observations for the satellite, they are saying that it is closer, okay, 1361 watt per meter square. That value they are getting. Next is solar radiation spectrum. Here, variation of irradiance with wavelength. Variation of solar radiation irradiance with respect to what? With respect to wavelength of solar radiation. That is called solar radiation spectrum. Once again, irradiance with the wavelength of solar radiation is called a solar radiation spectrum. This spectrum of electromagnetic this spectrum of electromagnetic radiation will strike in the diagram of that solar radiation spectrum. Atmosphere, here it is a range between the 0.1 micrometer to 3 micrometer. That is, it happens, the solar radiance spectrum will happen between 0.1 to 0.3 and 0.1 to 3 micrometer. This divided into 5 regions, increasing order of the wavelength. You can observe this is the solar solar radiation spectrum. This is a wavelength micrometer, and this is a solar irradiance watt per meter square per micrometer. This is solar light at the top of the atmosphere and 5250 degree Celsius black body spectrum, and here this level is nothing but radiation at sea level, and this is the absorption bands. One by one, these are the 5 reasons. One by one we shall discuss that 5 reasons increasing order of a wavelength. Okay, increasing order of a wavelength. First range is it spans a range of, span is nothing but distance between 2 points. Okay, distance between 2 points is nothing but span, or distance between the 2 points we can say span. Okay, so it span a range from range of 0.1 micrometer to 0.28 micrometer, and the term ultraviolet refers to the fact that is at higher frequency than violet light. Here, radiation is higher frequency than violet light. What is the violet light? And also here, invisible to the human eye. Okay, it cannot be seen. We cannot see the ultraviolet. What happens? Ultraviolet radiation, or it is a higher frequency. Okay, and when it is moving to observation by the atmosphere, only mere amount reaches the earth's surface, that is lithosphere. This spectrum of radiation has a germicidal properties, and it is used in a germicidal lamps. Okay, the spectrum of radiation where it is used means it is used in a lamps. Okay, this is about the ultraviolet C. Okay, this is a ultraviolet C, and it is a range is its range is 0.1 to 0.28 micrometer, and it has a higher frequency, and it will be in a violet light. Okay, higher frequency than violet light. And here it is this spectrum of radiation is used in a germicidal labs. Okay, these are the 3 points you need to remember. Next, in ultraviolet B, in that first range is its span is 0.28 micrometer to 0.315 micrometer, and here it is observed by the atmosphere along with the ultraviolet C. Okay, here along with atmosphere, it is observed the atmosphere, and also along with that atmosphere, it is observed the ultraviolet C also. It is responsible for the photochemical reaction it will lead to the production of the ozone layers. What happens here? First, ultraviolet have a high frequency, and here ultraviolet B, it absorbs both the atmosphere and also it will absorb atmosphere and also ultraviolet C. Okay, it will absorb both the radiations, both points. It span is 0.28 to 0.315, and it is responsible for the photochemical reaction that will lead to the production of the ozone layers. Ultraviolet A. Ultraviolet A, it ranges, its span is 0.315 micrometer to 0.4 micrometer, and it has been traditionally held as a less damaging to the DNA, and hence used in a tanning and PUA, that is chemical UVA therapy for the pyrosis. Psoriasis. Okay, this is a ultraviolet A is a it range is 0.315 to 0.4 micrometer, and it has a less damage to the DNA, and it is used where it is used means it is used in a tanning. Okay, and next is a visible range or light. Its span is 0.38 micrometer to 0.38. These are stages. Okay, one by one span it will increase, the span will increase. Okay, here its span is 0.38 micrometer to 0.78 micrometer, and here it is the range that is which we can see. Okay, it is visible to the human eye, naked eye. Okay, that is what they are saying. As the name suggests, it is this range that is visible to the naked eye. Visible range or light, in a title only it is visible. Okay, next is the infrared range. Here its span is 0.7 micrometer to 1000 micrometer, and it is responsible for all important part of the electromagnetic radiation that will reach the earth. It is also divided into again 3 types: infrared A, infrared B, infrared C. Okay, here different span. Okay, between 0.7 to 1.4 infrared A, in between 1.4 to 3 infrared B. Okay, between 3 to 100 infrared C. Okay, like that it is divided into a three types of on the basis of wavelength, or we can say span. Okay, the biological important output from the sun reaching the Earth's surface can be divided into four wavelength regions such as ultraviolet B, that is ultraviolet A, and visible light, and infrared, that is a wavelength it has been divided. Okay. Here, the major source of damaging effect of sunlight comes primarily from the ultraviolet portion of the spectrum. Major damage, major source where we get the damage effect of the sunlight means it comes from the ultraviolet portion of the spectrum, which is between 0.29 micrometer to 0.4 micrometer. At that between that span, the ultraviolet wavelength, that skin effect, due to different depth and have a different biological consequences. The different ultraviolet wavelengths penetrate the skin to different depth, and also it has a different biological consequences. These are the points you need to remember. First five reasons you need to remember, and their span length, and what is that again you need to remember one point regarding that where it is used, and also different types. It is this is used in tanning, and this is used in lamps, and this will produce a ozone layer. Okay. Visible range we can see in heading only, it is a infrared range. In that again it is divided into three types. Okay. Finally, the major source where we get the damage is damage effect of sunlight comes from mainly ultraviolet portion, that to 0.29 micrometer to 0.4 micrometer. Okay. Next is the solar radiation outside the Earth atmosphere. Here, the solar constant we know, we have discussed, right? Solar constant is a value. It is a rate at which energy is received from the sun on a unit area which is perpendicular to the rays of the sun at mean distance of the earth from the sun. This is what the definition. First, solar constant is a rate at which energy is received from the sun. Okay, the energy what we receive from the sun on a some particular area or unit area which is perpendicular to the rays of the sun at a mean distance between mean distance of the earth from the sun. And what about the value of that? Here its standard value is taken from 1353 to 1367 watt per meter square. And because of this earth orbit is slightly elliptical, what happens here, the intensity of solar radiation what we received outside the earth's surface, it may vary because of the elliptical. Okay, because of elliptical, the intensity of solar radiation what we receive outside the earth's surface, it will vary as the square of the earth sun distance. The solar irradiation, it may vary plus or minus 3.4%, and with the maximum irradiance occurring at the that is perihelion. And what about the earth is closest to the sun? When it will be closest to the sun? January 3 to 5. We have discussed the four reasons of sun. Okay, the solstice. Okay, we have discussed, right? In that only we have discussed when the earth will be closest to the sun. Okay, so earth closest to the sun January 3rd and 5th, and the minimum at the aphelion, that is July 5th. This variation may be approximated by I naught is equal to ISC 1 plus 0.034 into cos 360 into n divided by 365.25 watt per meter square. What is I naught here? Extraterrestrial solar irradiance outside the Earth's surface. What about the n? N is the total number of days counted from January 1st. Here, the cosine effect relates to the concept of extraterrestrial horizontal irradiance. The extraterrestrial solar irradiance falling on a surface parallel to the ground is IOH is equal to I naught into cos theta z. Theta z is nothing but angle between the two surfaces, which is the solar zenith angle. Z only indicates zenith. Okay. Where I note is the extraterrestrial solar irradiance. Here solar surface A which is parallel to the earth. This is the surface A which is parallel to the earth. This is the limits of earth's atmosphere, and this is a hypothetical surface B normal to the sun rays. This is a cosine effect. The extraterrestrial solar irradiance falling on a surface, falling on a, it is a falling on surface. I naught is nothing but what I said, extraterrestrial solar irradiance. That means it is falling on a earth surface. Okay, it is falling on a earth surface parallel to the ground. Surface parallel to the ground. Okay, this is a cosine effect. Cosine effect, reduction of radiation by the cosine of the angle between the solar radiation and surface normal is called a cosine effect. What about the solar radiation on the earth surface? Till now we have discussed the solar radiation outside the earth atmosphere. Now solar radiation, that is a on the earth surface, nothing but a solar insolation. Here, the rate at which solar energy reach a unit area at the earth is called a solar irradiance or a insolation. What they are saying is the reaches a particular area or unit area at the earth, that is called a solar irradiance or a insolation. In other way, or in other words, we can say that solar insolation means the sun's energy received over a horizontal surface. In other words, we can say that the sun energy received over a horizontal surface. That means, for example, this is the sun and the solar energy received on a horizontal surface. Okay, this is a horizontal surface like that. Okay, solar energy received on a horizontal surface. And the unit of measure for irradiance are watts per square meter. Okay, the unit of measure for irradiance is, for example, for power we will use a watt. Okay, like that the unit of measure for irradiance is watt per square meter. Okay, the solar irradiance is an instantaneous measure of rate and can vary over time. The maximum solar irradiance value is used in a system to design, and that is a system design to determine the peak rate of energy input to the system. Why the use means the maximum solar irradiance value, where it is used in a system design. Why they have used? To determine the peak rate of a energy input to the system. Okay, how much peak rate of energy we need to give input to the system, that is to find out the value of that, they have used a maximum solar irradiance value. Okay, if storage is included in system design, for example, if it is they have used as for energy storage or anything like that, if storage is included in a system design, the designer also needs to know the variation of solar irradiance over time in order to optimize the system design. Okay, in order to maintain a proper operation or to optimize the system design or to maintain the system operation properly, then we need to know that if they have included a storage in that system design, then they should know the variation of solar irradiance, right? They should know the solar irradiations over time in due morning time or afternoon time, and due to what are the effects or what are the variations in solar irradiance, they should know if they have added the storage in the system design. Okay, that is what they are saying. Next is a, it may be noted that total insolation on a horizontal surface on a clear day, even for two different locations, are not same. What they are saying is total insolation on a horizontal surface on a clear day, even for two different locations. Some places there will be a high solar value, and some places it may be a low value, like that. Okay, they show that a normal surface to the sun rays does increase energy received over a horizontal surface. Since locations are different and they are therefore not directly comparable, but may be indicative of principle. For example, in the United States, peak insolation power at noon of 1 kilowatt per meter square and 1.75 kilowatt per meter square. But in India, it can be granted. Okay. So, when you compare with the two states, two countries, that is the United States and value is 1 kilowatt per meter square, and what about in India, 1.7 kilowatt per meter square. Here only the variation in the solar energy. Okay. So here it may be not reached in all areas at all times. It makes a nice design reference. Since solar radiation before reaching the Earth's surface, it is subjected to the mechanism of absorption, scattering, and while passing through several gases. The gas is nothing but example water vapor, ozone, carbon dioxide, oxygen, etc. Okay, maximum radiation reaches the Earth's surface during clear sky. And view of the absorption, scattering solar radiation reaching the Earth's surface is defined by the following some terms we shall discuss, that is beam radiation, diffuse radiation, and global radiation. What are these radiation? This is a first is a beam radiation, that is nothing but a direct solar radiation. What is this beam radiation? Uh, Absorption and scattering solar radiation. While reaching the Earth's surface, these 3 points, while the solar radiation received on the Earth's surface without change of direction in line with sun. Okay, this is nothing but a beam radiation. That means, for example, the sun and the earth surface. Okay, without changing the direction. Okay, they are saying as it is. Okay, the solar radiation received on the earth surface, this is the earth surface. Okay, the earth surface received the solar energy or solar radiation without change of a direction in a line with the sun. And next is a diffuse radiation. When solar radiation is subjected to attenuation and reaches the Earth's surface from all parts of the sky, it may go some different directions. Some attenuation means it not be straight. Okay, like this. It may be wave. Okay, like that. It may be in a different directions. Okay, it will not come in a line. Okay, that is a diffuse radiation. Next is a global radiation, the sum of beam radiation and diffuse radiation. What they are saying, some radiations will it will come without change of direction, and some will come with the attenuation. Okay, mixed. It is a mixed. The sum of beam radiation and diffuse radiation is known as a global radiation. Okay, some it will come in straight line. Okay, some will be in a attenuation. Both in global radiation, both cases are added. Okay. Have been proved that for location at sea level and zenith angles between 0 and 70 degree, A mass is obtained as A mass is equal to theta z. Okay. A mass is term normally used as a measure of the distance traveled by a beam radiation through the Earth atmosphere before it reaches a location at the Earth surface. And how we can define the air mass means it is defined as the ratio of the mass of the atmosphere through which the beam radiation passes to the mass of the atmosphere through which it will pass if the sun is directly overhead. That is what secant theta z. The power here, the amount of solar radiation incident on a tilted module surface is the component of the incident solar radiation, which is perpendicular to the module surface. And here, what do you mean by ITS means it is a tilted surface, radiation incident on a tilted surface. If either the solar radiation measured on a horizontal surface, that is IOH, or the solar radiation measured perpendicular to the sun, that is IO, is known as the equation. We can write that IOH is equal to I naught sine alpha and ITS is equal to I naught sine alpha plus beta. What do you mean by alpha? Elevation angle. What do you mean by beta? It is a tilt angle of the surface measured from the horizontal. The elevation angle alpha is equal to nothing but 90 minus pi plus delta. What do you mean by phi? It is a latitude angle. We have discussed right in last class. And what is the delta angle? Delta equation 23.450 into sine 360 divided by 365 into 284 plus n, where n is the number of days counted from January 1st. And ITS is equal to IOH into sine alpha plus beta divided by sine alpha. This is a tilted surface diagram. This is a tilted face diagram. What they have said here regarding the tilted face, the power incident on a tilted surface, it depends not only on the power contained in the sunlight but also the angle between the tilted surface and the sun. The power incident on a tilted surface, it will not depend only on the sunlight, and it also depends on the angle between the tilted surface and the sun. Okay, it depends on 2 points. One is sunlight and the angle between the tilted surface and the sun. When the observing surface and the sunlight are perpendicular to each other, okay, one is observing surface and the one is sunlight. Okay, when it is both are perpendicular to each other, then the power density on the surface is equal to that of the sunlight. Okay, once again I repeat, the observing surface and the sunlight, when both are perpendicular to each other, the power density on the surface is equal to that of the sunlight. Okay, in other words, we can see that the power density will always be maximum when the solar observing surface is perpendicular to the sun. Same terms, same meaning. Okay, they have said in a different way. The power density will always be maximum. When it will be maximum means when solar observing surface is perpendicular to the sun. And here the angle between the sun and a fixed surface is continually, that is changing. It will be, angle will be changing between the sun and a fixed surface. The power density on a fixed surface is less than that of the instant sunlight. And also we have discussed about the equations, right? Next is the solar thermal energy applications, and this we shall discuss in the next class. Okay, and also this we have discussed, right, regarding active and passive system. Okay, this diagram, I'll give seminar to yourself. Okay, you can do seminar on these points: direct thermal applications, low temperature solar thermal applications. This we have discussed. Space heating for homes, offices and greenhouses, domestic and industrial hot water. In second module, I have explained regarding domestic and industrial hot water, and also I have discussed about pool heating, desalination, solar cooking, and crop drying. Okay, this you need to present tomorrow. Okay, I'll give each topic for the students. I'll mention name with the topic. Okay, you explain tomorrow.